The one thing all you new preppers and procrastinators out there need to be doing is building up your supply of SHTF meds. All right, now what I'm talking about is simple, pure plain simple. Prescription meds. If you're on any type of prescription medication for whatever it is, consult your doctor, find out about your regular issue prescription time periods 30-day, 60-day, 90-day. Now, doctors prescribe these in those increments based upon how much you're supposed to take, how often, and how long it should last you. Don't try shady shit. Don't do the my dog knocked all my meds into the toilet and I lost them all. Issue me another script because that's just going to get you side eyes and dirty looks and opens up a whole different can of issues. Just don't do that. But ask, talk to your doctor, saying, is there a way to get a longer prescription length? Is it something that I need to come in and get reevaluated on? Or is it something that they can say, okay, I'll make an adjustment and have this changed out from 30 days to 45 days or from 45 days to 90 days, whatever the case may be. 80% of the pharmaceuticals and the core ingredients for almost all the over the counter medicines that we have here in the US come from two primary countries, India and China. With that being said, right off the top, if you've been paying attention, you can already see that there's going to be an issue, whether it be a direct result of actions over in China and India that prohibit them from manufacturing and then shipping out those ingredients. I mean, everything from a large viral outbreak where they shut down more of the country. Right now, I believe China still has its largest city in lockdown, and there are other smaller areas where they're locking certain sections down because they're trying to maintain the zero COVID policy. India right now is going through a major environmental heat wave situation. I don't know if that's affecting their power systems and their power supplies yet, because if they lose power in the cities that manufacture these chemicals that do the primary work with that, they may not have power to make the meds in the first place to ship out the either the core ingredients as a whole or the portion of the products from those areas back to the United States. Any little thing, anything such as an embargo or a trade situation could interrupt that. Then the remaining supplies that we have here will of course already begun to be depleted, and depending upon what they are, because I'm not going through the long list of medicines here in the United States that we go through and that we use on a regular basis, that remaining 20% that's available may not be something for everyone. It may be a specialized group of medicines that are only made here in the US because of time expediency. They could be therapeutics specifically for cancer treatments. They could be medicines specifically for people who've received blood transfusions and organ transfusions, or organ transplants rather. So that small 20% may not cover the large majority of people that take certain types of common prescription medications or over the counter medications. With that being said, talking specifically about over the counter meds, your acetaminophen, your aspirins, that sort of things, that's what I'm talking about. If you don't have any of those, you need to get some. Even if you're a person that I don't really get into pills and, I just deal with it, that's fine. You say that now, and most of the time, if I've got a small headache or aches and pains, I just deal with it as it is. But when you're in a situation that we're talking about where either the grid is down, medical services are not available, pharmaceutical services are not available, where you can't get to a doctor to talk to someone about the problem that has been continually getting worse over the last 3, 4, 5 days, you're going to want, at least at the minimum, therapeutic, something to treat the symptom to allow you time to rest and recover depending upon what the situation is. So this is getting all the pain pills, all the general common meds, just getting the cough syrup and the cold and flu stuff, which we know most of that contains the same type of ingredients, the same common core ingredients that are in it, but it does help to the extent that if you can get a little relief sleeping at night, long enough to get some rest to help your body physically begin recovering from whatever it is that puts you into that situation. As an example, I don't usually get migraines. It's a rare thing for me to get a migraine, but when I do get one, I'm doubled up, curled up on the floor, feeling like my brain is getting ready to be squished through my head and out of my mouth. I don't have time to think about the metaphysical aspects of what did I take, what did I come in contact with. The mind, I don't have time for that. I need something that's going to get into my system, hit me quickly, and relieve me of the pain that I'm in. And then I can start to process the where did I go, or what did I do, or what could be a contributing factor to the migraine. That is what I'm talking about for over the counter meds. You need things that will help you in the immediate moment to either eliminate the problem or at least relieve you of some of the symptoms to allow you to remain physically active and capable enough to continue on through your day. Anti-diarrheal and anti-constipation, laxatives. People forget about that. There will be times, especially in situations where, let's say we are in a grid down situation and you've got your preps or you're scavenging and scrounging for what you can. There's going to be a certain point, whether it be the actual food directly or perhaps you came in contact with something, some bacteria, what have you, where you end up with a flu virus, a stomach virus. You're either basically running it out the back door, or you get in contact with something that you've been eating or repeating in your diet that has your body now locked up and blocked up. You're going to need those. People forget about antifungal things. Foot fungus. You might be 2-3 days a week or longer in the same pair of socks and shoes, especially if you're walking, hiking, and traveling on foot trying to get from point A to point B. So you want to be able to make sure that small little things like foot fungus don't become a debilitating issue. You want to have the sprays and the ointments, things like that will work. For the ladies out there, UTIs are a serious thing for both men and women, but more so for women. You want to be able to make sure that you have those over-the-counter meds to handle yeast infections as well. Small things like that most people in the immediate time don't think about, because it's not something that occurs on a daily, regular basis, not something that happens every other Thursday. So these are the things that you want to be able to start building up now. Whether you have children or not, children's meds, the OTC stuff, they dissolve and they're chewable. It might be a situation where you don't know. You might end up in a condition where your jaw is swollen because you've got a major tooth infection, but you need to be able to take some pain meds, but you can barely open your mouth. Well, if you have children's Tylenol, whether it be in the chewable or dissolvable tablets, you can basically liquefy that in some water, sip it through a straw. You have to think of the various conditions that you as an individual might be in. If you are a person that has elderly parents and you're basically taking care of them or keeping an eye on them, same rules apply. If they're on medications, which a large portion of the elderly community are on, you've got to make sure that you know what their medicines are, but you also have to make sure, not just for them, but for yourself, any type of medications, get a printout list of what those medications have interactions with and reactions with. Because the last thing you need is either you inadvertently take something that's going to cause a reaction to meds that are still in your system, or you help someone or thinking you're helping someone and you give them something that causes a reaction to the meds they're on. You have to make sure that you've got a clear understanding, because you're not going to be able to call poison control or call your local pharmacy or ring your doctor up when it's week 3 of a post-apocalyptic scenario. That's just not going to happen. You're going to have to be your own medical facility as it is. And a suggestion on that, index cards, write them out nice and neat or print them out in a small enough size, laminate it with just clear packing tape. It doesn't have to be fancy, just simple clear packing tape on the front, on the back after you've written everything up, and it makes a small handy med card. If you print out a full standard size sheet of paper, they have those clear plastic page sleeves that you find in a lot of notebooks. Slip it in that, seal it up. This way it's still legible, you can still read it, and you have a way of protecting it from basically the elements, whether it's in a backpack or a medical bag, or you've got it folded up, tucked into your shirt. You want to make sure that whether it's you as an individual or someone else, that if you're in a situation where someone's providing assistance to you, that if you have that, sort of like the medical alert bracelets that they used to really market back during the 80s, someone that is legitimately trying to help you and you might be injured or something, if you have that on you and they find it, they at least have an idea of what your allergies are, what you're allergic to, what type of medicines you're on, all that sort of thing. Basically, you want to make a biomed little printout card for you and anyone else in your group, so you have that as a point of reference that you can use. By and large, most of the things that you're looking at for your medicines are stuff that you already have. But like I said, think about those few other oddball things when it comes to, the foot fungus and the itch and the scratch and everything else, because again, there's small issues that can become worse. That annoying itch because you don't have hydrocortisone, it may just be you're scratching here and there, but eventually you're going to start wearing down the areas of where the skin is. You're going to start possibly spreading the infection of whatever's causing it. And then you go from a minor situation to a major situation. You don't want to open yourself up literally to having what could have been a preventable situation early on to becoming something that becomes to a greater extent life threatening or debilitating. That's the last thing you need when you're in that type of scenario. A lot of what people look at when they look at the medicines, they think to a certain extent, yes, there will be certain meds that they want to get and they want to get a hold of. And you know what? Whether you buy them in bulk and you get those large bottle containers, that's fine. I personally would suggest, unless you're putting them in a very small IFAC individual first aid kit or a small medical bag, that you're going to put portions of those into pill containers so they stay watertight and everything, but make sure you mark and label them. You have to make sure that you know, and anyone that looks at it knows exactly what each pill is, because in a panic situation especially, a bunch of little white pills, blue pills, red pills, that sort of thing, you may not have time to distinguish which one is the antihistamine and which one is the antidiarrheal. You don't have time to determine, is this the one with the acetaminophen or is this the one with the naproxen, because the individual that you're going to give it to has a reaction to one of those. You need to be able to make sure you understand what you're looking at in the immediate moment that you're looking at it. Moving into the general frame of you're on your own for your medical care, again, do your research. That's the key thing. Do your research on things, even homeopathic meds. I mean, there are lots of different treatments that you can do in a natural way with ginger, with apple cider vinegar, with garlic, those sort of things. But they are not immediate in their relief. They are not immediate in their alleviation of the problem. A lot of those homeopathic things take time. Even if you're taking them, effectively speaking, in a pill supplement form, it still takes time, longer than, let's say, something that you would get from the pharmacy over the counter. So you have to start to plan ahead. Is the condition that you're in now in the early stages something that you can afford to wait 5 days, 7 days, 10 days before you have full relief of the symptoms or whatever the problem is? Or is it something that you need to get certain meds into you now so that way in 2 days you're better and you've moved past it? So even the homeopathic aspect, you can stock up on those supplements, you can stock up on those pills, you can stock up on the core raw ingredients, but you have to start planning ahead. Honey, as an example, it can be used in a lot of medicinal situations, but it is not an instant cure-all type of thing. It's something that's still going to take time, depending on how it's used, how it's applied, to actually begin to work. So you plan ahead for these situations, and you keep these things marked and labeled. You keep them stored up and stocked up. Keep them in a plastic tub, whatever. So this way you have them as a whole unit that you can pick up and take and go through when you need to. But just have them on hand, because we can come into a situation very quickly where the either cost of those things over the counter becomes extremely expensive, and the volume size, you may not find those large bottles of aspirin, large bottles of the other pain meds anywhere. They may start coming to just the small 30 dose, 50 dose, 100 tablets maximum, depending upon what it is, and the price may keep going up and up. Or again, like I said, 80% of the common core ingredients are made in two countries. If there's simply a supply shutoff at a certain point, it may only be 2-3 weeks, it might be 2-3 months. But once whatever is in the system here is depleted, and I believe that, to a certain extent, a lot of the places that get the stuff in, when they know they're not getting more in, they're going to start stretching that out. And no matter what, if there's a 3-month backlog or delay or just simply lack of production in China and India, within a month or two, the way that we go through a lot of these medicines here in the US, all that's going to be gone, and it's going to be literally just what you have in your medicine cabinets and in your medical bags, and that's it. But That's something to think about. You want to make sure that you plan ahead for that. You want to make sure that you know what you have, what you can take. If you've got a group of people, whether you're the leader of the group or you're working collectively, you have to make sure everyone knows what they're able to take, what they can use as an alternate. I mean, that means writing out the full pharmaceutical name, because if you're in a situation where you need to look for a name brand, but you don't see that name brand, you need to know what the pharmaceutical or the chemical name is, because that may be somewhere else on the shelf as well when you go to buy it. That's it for right now. That's all I've got. But, again, you need to think about that, especially the new preppers, because getting knocked out and knocked on your ass for something that you could easily prevent, or at least shorten the time period that you are down and out, is going to make a big difference if you plan on making it through any of the SHTF situations that are coming up over the horizon. All right, so I'll catch you guys in the next one.